what does that person do when they get back home or back in the office? They Google you to see what your online presence is. Do you have a website? Do you have social media? Is this person for real, right? So if you don't have anything, then the person you're talking to is kind of wondering, like, is this guy really legit? Does he know what he's doing? You're looking for social proof. You're looking for online proof. And the worst thing is, if you don't have an online presence, then they will find your competitors. And so not only do you, not get the business in the first place, but your competitors are getting the business. So it's kind of a double whammy.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a good one. Our guest is a web consultant who helps small and medium businesses grow their revenues by providing powerful websites and internet marketing tools and the strategies that deliver results. Benoit Mercier, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael. Thank you. And thanks to all the listeners. I'm very happy, very excited to be here today. And hopefully we can share a few nuggets of information that will be helpful for everyone.
I think so. And it's one of those things that I think with our listeners, and I'm sure our listener will agree, it's one of those things that we all know very important to have a website and to put out our best face forward to the world. However, there's just so many options, and can be a lot of work that goes into all of this. So I'm really excited about helping them get a few things in their mind that they can take on and really help drive results for their business through website and online marketing.
Excellent. That's what we're going to cover today. And, you mentioned the online presence, and that's sort of the key element, having at least the website. There was a survey I read last year where 46% of small and medium businesses in the U.S. did not have a website. That's a bit, puzzling these days, but the two most often mentioned issues or concerns that they had was, number one, price. Can they afford it? Is it too much for their budget? But number two, a lot of business owners did not seem to realize the value of the website and what can it do for the business. So I'm hoping that today, with the 5 Ps, the 5 elements that we have for a successful website design, that the listeners will be more inclined to get their websites done and updated to attract more clients.
Beautiful. And it's interesting how, speaking for myself, I know about websites, have for a long time, know how valuable they are. And I think it's a curse of knowledge. Sometimes I think that just everybody knows the potential and power of what a website and some online marketing can do. But it's like, often we don't share those things or share enough about it because we think, well, geez, everybody should just know this stuff. So I think this is going to be a great episode for that. And before we get into these awesome ideas, tell us a little bit about you and your career leading up to this point where you're helping small business.
Okay, so that's an interesting path there. So you mentioned earlier I'm a web consultant, and I've been doing that for about 4 years now. So helping small, medium businesses get better results online, right? Either getting people online for the first time, or people that have been online for a while, help them get better results. So more leads, more business, more visibility, whatever the metric is. And that's what I've been focusing on for the past few years. Prior to that, I was in the corporate world. I'm trained as an engineer, electrical engineer, and I've done marketing and business development in the corporate world. So I'm taking that skill set mostly on the business development and the marketing, And I'm applying that to the small, medium business space, and specifically with web-based technologies.
I love it. You bring a lot of knowledge and from a few different places, which I think is really valuable. And so one of the things that you said is like cost. Well, the two big ones of why our listener may or may not have a website would be cost, and they're just not familiar with the power of what a website can do. Mm-hmm. What have you worked with people that, those people that they haven't had a website, and all of a sudden you work with them and you help get them set up in a simple way, nothing fabulous or like off the chart complex, but you just gave them a little bit of help. What was the result for their business?
Well, for the most part, it gives those businesses an aura of legitimacy, right? So when you meet someone in a business context, you give them the card, you give them your business name, you have an exchange. What does that person do when they get back home or back in the office? They Google you to see what your online presence is. Do you have a website? Do you have social media? Is this person for real, right? So if you don't have anything, then the person you're talking to is kind of wondering, like, is this guy really legit? Does he know what he's doing? You're looking for social proof. You're looking for online proof. And the worst thing is, if you don't have an online presence, then they will find your competitors. And so not only do you, not get the business in the first place, but your competitors are getting the business. So it's kind of a double whammy. So in terms of the results, then we really help the businesses get more traffic, generate leads. And if you're starting out in business, that's a great way to establish yourself online, is by starting with the website.
In this day and age as well, I think there's not a time. I do a lot of online shopping because it's convenient, and often what I'm finding, it's very difficult to find unique things in my local street, my local mall. Right. I need something very specific, like a part for something. It's like you just can't go out and get a part for your refrigerator down at the local hardware store. So when I'm online and I'm shopping, I rely heavily on the reviews, the website. Like I don't want to, because I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not, holding it in my hands. I'm not a prior customer. So I rely on all that data to help me make a better decision. And so I think everything you're saying is only going to amplify as people become more astute and create new behaviors around how they make decisions online.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when us as consumers and as business owners, when we have a need for a product or a service, what do? We Google it. Well, we go online and we look for it. And to your point, Michael, the reviews help influence us, or at least help overcome some of the fears and objections that we would have with dealing with a certain business. And that's what it's really all about. If you're not on Google, you don't really exist these days.
You're absolutely right. And so for the most part, what we've talked about, this is really, at a core level, the website, its job, before even talking about finding new customers, your example was at a network event, you give your card, they're going to go and check your website out. Mm-hmm. This is really validating and helping support the next step in that relationship with them is, are they real? What do they look like? Is this somebody that I'd want to deal with? So the website is supporting the sales funnel, if you will. But what are some mistakes potentially that could happen that would, hey, I've got my website, I'm good. What do people typically do where it's like, yeah, they got the website, they checked the box, but now the sales funnel's breaking because something's happening that's not working?
Right. So one common misconception that I come across all the time is the perception for some business owners that a website is a website is a website, right? It's kind of like saying all cars are the same. And the way the websites are designed, the way they are built, both on the front, what we can see, and also on the back end, has a lot of influence on how a business can be found online. And I think I'd like to inject at this point the first P. So we have this formula called the 5 Ps of website design. And they're a little different than the 4 Ps of marketing, but it's kind of similar. So the first P, to your point, Michael, is purpose. So what do you want to accomplish online with your web presence, specifically the website, but the web presence, at large? You want to be found. Most businesses need to be found. You want to attract customers, right? You want to drive traffic. You want to be able to generate leads, and you want to get more customers. So, that's a purpose for, you're in business to get business. So that only makes sense that you would have that as one of the key ingredients, right? But it's surprising how many people don't think about what their goal is when they get online. A second goal could be to keep or retain clients, so getting them to hire you more often or increase the package so you get more revenue. You can ask clients for referrals as well, right, as a way to grow your business. And some businesses will also look at ways of streamlining their operations. So the website can be powerful in terms of collecting information on leads and on prospect, but then you need that information to be actionable. You need to do something with it in order to make it effective for your business. So that's the first P in it's all about purpose.
And do you find when people mess up that first P, what does it look like for them to be messing that up?
Well, it really depends. Sometimes it's not quite obvious at first because everyone sort of focuses on the look and feel, right? The graphic representation. Oh, that's a great looking website. So what's missing in there is not always obvious because it may look good, but things like your calls to action, things like your differentiators, right? What makes you different? And that's one of the P's is persuasion. You want people to stay on the website once they get there, and you want people to take action. Typically, you have 3 to 7 seconds, say, to tell people who you are, what you do, what makes you different, and what's in it for them. Otherwise, they'll bounce. They'll go to another website, right? So the imagery that you have should be aimed at your target market. The words that you use, the sentences and the keywords should also be aimed at your target market. And the design of the website, the layout, has to encourage people to take action. So that means it has to highlight your differentiators, what makes you different, what are your points of strengths. And it also has to, in a sense, gain the trust of the viewer, give them peace of mind, overcoming the fear and the objection that they may have of doing business with you. And again, as I mentioned a minute or so ago, the calls to action. You could have a fantastic looking website. You can have all the differentiators you want, but if you're not encouraging people to contact you, to subscribe to your newsletters, download your ebook or your spreadsheet or whatever it is, if you don't have those specific calls to action, then you're not going to get the same kind of results as you could with a different website.
It's a lot of opportunity lost without having these things in place. And based on what you're saying, they come persuasion. They come if you met somebody at a party, there would be all sorts of things happening in that interaction that would make people either want to remain talking to you or to
exactly.
go hit the bar and find a drink, right?
Yes.
And so websites kind of the same way. They've come there. It's like what's going to make them on a very low level? What's going to make them want to stick around and say, yeah, I want to learn more about this person or engage with them or go forth with whatever they're up to. So I think that's where I see websites all the time. I think it's a big mistake people make is they think they've got to put too much on the page or just have a lot of information that is industry specific that wouldn't mean anything. It's like, imagine you met somebody at a party and all of a sudden you start blurting off all the things you did, right? Or, all this stuff. It's like, well, I can do this and I like rafting and, hey, we could do that and all this stuff. It's like a person, like it's automatic, go get another drink move, right?
Exactly. And that's where the importance here of the target market, right? Know who your audience is, know who you want to get as a client, and then you reorient, you focus the website at that target market, and that's how you get better results.
Yeah. And that's an interesting one. And I think that gets people confused right away too. It's like, oh my goodness, I have to decide. I have to decide who my market is. What if I don't know?
Yes.
And then, it's that can be paralyzing. So it's like, okay, you just go and fill up your website with all sorts of stuff, or you try to make it for everybody, or you don't do it at all. And those are all bad options. So exactly. What would be your recommendation when it comes to having people make that decision? It's like, decide.
Yeah. So if you've been in business for a while and you have a better feel for your target market, your specific target clients, right? I mean, for bookkeepers, you can cover all sorts of businesses, all sorts of industries. And I know that some bookkeepers really focus on one segment. So that's one aspect that you can do. If you do decide not to specialize in one specific industry, then be cognizant or think about what kind of client do you want? You look at a certain dollar value, look at a certain number of employees, certain number of transactions, whatever your criteria may be, try to identify that and then develop your marketing material. So the website, your social media, and the rest of the things that is aimed at going after that market segment that you've identified.
Beautiful. So we've talked about purpose, right?
Purpose.
You also mentioned persuasion. Was that the second one, or did we jump ahead?
Actually, that was the third one, but doesn't matter because they're all tied together, right? They all have an impact on one another. What you're talking recently is just, if I can bring up promotion.
Yes.
The website is part of your marketing efforts, your marketing plans, part of your business plan. And in terms of how you promote your business, there's two main avenues. One is offline and one is online. Obviously, my expertise is more on the online side, but because of my corporate experience, I'm also familiar with the offline. So when you're talking about offline, I mean, it can be simple things like putting your logo on your business cards, right? A sign for your office. Some people like to have a uniform, right? Or a shirt with the logo embroidered. Some people will have signs on their cars or their SUVs as they drive around. There's also traditional media, either direct mail or your local newspaper, magazine advertising, things like that. And personally, I'm a big fan of networking. You go and meet people face to face, either through your board of trade, your chamber of commerce, your BNI, or your whatever networking organization you belong to, because then it helps to build a bit of the rapport, right? The offline activities that you do should drive traffic back to your website. For the reason we mentioned, before, when you meet someone, they check you out on Google, check you out on the web. But also when you give your business card, it should have your website on it. So they have a quick way, easy way of checking you out, right? And then the online side of things, I mean, obviously the website is a key component. There's social media, there's online ads, either through Google or Facebook or Instagram or whichever platform. There's SEO, so search engine optimization. There's different tweaks and things you can do on the website to be found more easily. Blogging, video blogging, there's newsletters, there's webinars, email marketing, Google My Business. There's a lot of things on the online marketing side. And the online and offline kind of feed each other, right? I mentioned the offline, you want to drive people online, and your online presence should hopefully generate leads for you that you get to go and meet with the people in person. And I know a lot of bookkeeping gets done remotely. So does the digital marketing business. But I always like to meet with clients at least once in the beginning to, get to know the person, establish the rapport, and then periodically having regular touch points with the client also is good. So online and offline promotion work hand in hand in my opinion.
I agree. And it makes a lot of sense. There's all these things that we're doing, and the more that we do them, the traditional offline activities, networking, any kind of promotion, but it all has to come back to the website. The website is a key place, and we want to make sure we get the purposes right. We have the persuasion right. It's been figured out so that people are going to continue forward in the next bit. So we've covered purpose, promotion, and persuasion. What's the fourth?
So we're at the productivity stage. So with persuasion, you have your points of difference that have been highlighted. You have your calls to action. Hopefully they filled out that form for your newsletter, the contact us form. Now that you have the information, that becomes a lead. That is building the sales funnel you were talking about earlier. And that's where you're trying to convert those leads into actual customers, right? You want to create a wow factor. They've taken the step to contact you, so now you need a way to still show the value that you bring. And something like email marketing is a very effective tool at that, right? Because you can set triggers, you can set automated responses when people contact you. You can send them information on your products and services. You can just send them maybe case studies or testimonials or reviews from different platforms. And then again, that still helps to gain the trust, build your credibility, build your authority in, as the expert in what you're doing. This is the phase where things happen, right? We know from sales training that typically it takes 5 to 12 touch points with someone before they can actually become a client, right? So all these touch points you do with the online and offline promotion, all the little bits with the persuasion side, and now all your emails, your phone calls, all that, all contribute to those multiple touch points in order to help you convert those leads into a client.
It's remarkable what can be done with automation as well. And you spoke a little bit about that when you said the email follow-ups. And I like to say that this is a bit of an advanced move. I mean, if you don't have a website, and you haven't optimized that in a way that we've been talking about today, that's definitely a place to start. But then it's pretty exciting what can be done with a little bit of automation where, okay, someone's contacted you, and you send them some information and maybe you're going to nurture them a little bit with a few emails that are valuable to them. Tell us a little bit about that, because it is a bit advanced. And, this is probably an area that I would assert not many of our listeners have, they probably thought about it or maybe heard about it, but have not taken the steps down that road. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, and that's a very good point, right? The nurturing aspect, going back to the touch points, because even when someone is a client, you still want to keep them happy, right? 7 out of 10 people who leave you or leave your business will do so because they perceive that you don't care, right? So a way to show that you care is to provide, valuable information, timely information, or just some general knowledge about, the industry, whatever is of interest to your target client, right? And that continuous nurturing is the 5th P, which is persistence. And, so productivity leads into persistence. And that's where you're not only building the relationship with the client, but maintaining it, enhancing it over time. It's about, generating repeat business for your business and, hopefully increasing the spending that your clients have with you. Your clients can also be a great source of referrals, right? So you can automate some of the communications with a client. You could have some seasonal information around, tax time, around, income tax filing things like that. It could be some promotion that you're offering. You can ask for referrals or asking for reviews. You mentioned earlier that social proof. Looking at the reviews when you're not sure, you're comparing two different people, two different businesses that look sort of similar, look pretty good, but one has 200 great reviews and one has 5 great reviews. You're skewed a bit on one side as opposed to the other, right? If you have a newsletter, you share that with the people. That's a great way to stay top of mind. Just a regular blog, a simple blog doesn't have to be very extensive, but it just shows that you're thinking of them, you care, you share, right? Triggers also can be done automatically on the either anniversary, like you've been a client 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You could do that also on their birthdays. You can send a welcome series of emails. You can do surveys, feedback. How did we do? You can ask surveys on what are the top 3 challenges you face in your business. And then that gives you food to create blogs, new pages, newsletter content. So there's a lot of things that can be automated there in terms of the relationship, the touch points, and keeping the clients engaged with your business over time.
Wonderful. Now, there's a lot to that, and that would be probably one of the areas I would assert people start reaching out to you to get help with something like that.
Right.
Any favorites in terms of, because you would need some sort of a CRM or some sort of a tool that would facilitate the sending of these emails and that sort of thing. What are some of your favorites?
Well, our company, Bloom Tools, we have created our own platform, our own content management system that we design and develop the websites on. We also have our own email marketing and our own CRM program. So we use the tools that we've developed internally. And I know there's a lot of different tools out there for both email marketing and CRM that a lot of people use and have been getting great success with, right?
Very good. So that's interesting. So you've developed your own suite of products to help small business with this. What was that journey like?
Well, the journey. So the company's been around since 2004, and it actually started in Australia. So this really smart kid in university started doing websites for businesses, and he noticed that he was kind of recreating the same coding, similar kinds of coding and programming for the different websites. So he said, you know what, it makes sense if we had our own platform. And there were third-party platforms available at that point, but he undertook the challenge of creating the platform on his own, so put a team together. And so the company's been in business for 15 years, which, in internet time means it's like forever. Mm-hmm. And we've moved into Canada about 5 years ago. We have clients in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and we have a few in the US as well.
Very interesting. Very, very exciting. And so, if our listener is listening right now, they may not have a website. So that's step one, right? Is to take on starting that.
Absolutely.
They may have a website that someone put it up, or they put it up themselves, and they did it in a silo, and perhaps it could use some optimization. Mm-hmm. And then there's the third level, which is it's working somewhat, and there's an opportunity to optimize what they've done and make it more productive, move into that persistence and productivity levels, which were the fourth and fifth concept. Mm-hmm. What would you say for those 3 groups, best starting places?
Best starting places in terms of what specifically?
So for the person who doesn't have a website,
right?
What's a starting place?
So where to go?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you know a web consultant like myself and like many others out there, that's a good way to get the dialogue going. You can always do research online. There's a number of companies that do provide a web foundation. You see the ads sometimes on late night TV. Wix, Weebly, you have GoDaddy, you have WordPress as the big ones. So I do a little bit of Google search to find out what's available, what works for you. Look at your budget also, right? Your budget can determine, what you can afford, how big you want to make it, how complex or how simple. And that's where a consultant can help guide you. It's like, okay, you want the full bells and whistles, or you just want a basic information website, right? So the consultant can guide you, and usually your local Board of Trade or Chamber of Commerce, there will be a number of digital marketers or website developers that are available. So we just have a chat with one of them, and pick their brains, see what they recommend.
Beautiful. That sounds like a great step for whatever stage they're at, is to get some help, to do some more research. This has been great. I think a lot of my biggest takeaway is that our listener really should be looking at where they're at with their website and putting a little bit of energy and investment into that, because it will return to the business if it's done correctly. It will help you be better at converting people you meet at networking events. It will help find new customers that you don't even know exist today, and as well be a tool or resource potentially for existing clients that are working with you. So I think all of it is very worthwhile to be taking a look at. And Benoit, it's been great having you. I want to make sure that people can find you. So what would be the best way if they were like, hey, we like this, I'd like to learn more about you? What would be the best route to do that?
Best route would be email, and second best route would be my website.
Beautiful. And so is bloomtoolsmississauga.ca, would that be the best link for them?
That is the correct link for the website. Absolutely.
Excellent. We'll of course have those in our show notes. And if you'd like, you can give your email as well. We can put those in the show notes for you as well.
Okay. That's excellent.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. And for our listener, I challenge you to take a look at your website, make some stuff happen, and take these great tips and resources from Benoit and make it make money for you in your business.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the listeners, and good luck in business for everyone out there.
And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.